Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Tuesday evening. That's right. I'm here on a Tuesday. I'm not supposed to be here on a Tuesday, but there can be only one reason why I am, and that means that there has been officially, well, not officially, but officially, a quarterback change for the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a very abbreviated primetime show because this is my off day, but this news does warrant discussion. I will remind you quickly that the Primetime program is made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, by Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, and by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. TrueMathFitness.com for more information. Don't forget about Zen Sports. This is, of course, the Zen Sports Studio. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. So here's the deal. We're gonna run through this rapid fire style and talk about the end of the Will Levis tenure. It means that Brian Callahan is done with him. That's going to be your Two Rivers Ford take here tonight. Your Two Rivers Ford take, as always, made possible by the aforementioned South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford. What do you make of the Titans benching of Will Levis? Because I'll tell you exactly for the next 10 to 15 minutes what I think this means and what it will mean moving forward, because there's layers to this shit. And it's not as cut and dry as I think a lot of us would like to make. So Jeremy Fowler, first to report the news, I should say, that Will Levis was officially going to be benched. But we have all understood that Brian Callahan getting up to the podium, being non-committal, talking about Will Levis the way that he has, and talking about needing to hold the football team accountable for performance the way that he has been, especially in Monday's press conference, meant that Will Levis was heading to the bench. We will just await official confirmation tomorrow at his press conference, which I believe we have had released the times for earlier today. We did get an email about that. Sounds like the schedule, again, for a fourth straight week is going to be different than it was the previous week. Either way, so we understood this. Will Levis, 4 total turnovers. I saw a stat from the 33rd team that made my brain combust because I had not considered Will Levis to be in this kind of territory or keeping this kind of company when it comes to the rate of turning the ball over. Now, obviously, we will see Will Levis to the bench, which means that we will see Mason Rudolph start on the road against the Indianapolis Colts, likely against the Jags, on the road, likely against the Houston Texans when they come to town for the final game, mercifully the final game of the 2024 NFL season. There's a bunch of different ways to look at this. A lot of you are confused. A lot of you are upset. A lot of you are bothered by the fact that you think that this doesn't accomplish anything for the future of the franchise. And I would tell you that that is spoken like somebody or somebodies who are not coaching to save their job. Here's what this means more than anything. It means that the scapegoat, the easiest scapegoat of all of the scapegoats this year, is no longer there for you to blame unless something happens with an injury. But even then, the pressure is off of Will Levis. They have removed the pressure from him. They will address the quarterback situation in the offseason. How they do that, I have no idea, because there is no clear path forward at the quarterback position based on the options that are presently available to them, both in free agency and the draft. There are not long-term solutions available to you in 2025, barring some kind of significant trade, which I wouldn't rule out because they have to figure out something here. But what it does mean is that Brian Callahan is now squarely on the hot seat. Rand Carthon is now squarely on the hot seat, and everybody else under them, because the pressure is now on them to perform. Will Levis is out of the picture. You can no longer blame the player that was averaging 1.6 turnovers a game this season. It's the most, again, the stat by the 33rd team, it's the most by any quarterback that has played 11-plus games in a season since Jameis Winston's 30-touchdown, 30-interception campaign in 2019. So it makes sense to sit him, but now the onus is on everybody else involved in this organization. Now the onus is on everyone else to go out there and prove that Will Levis is the only thing that's wrong here. No, I'm capable of coaching offensive football. Just look and see how well I'll do with Mason Rudolph. No, I'm capable of finding this franchise's next quarterback, even though I traded up to draft Will Levis if I'm this front office. And it's not just Rand, it's all three of them, Brinker, Robinson, and Carthon. Everybody save the owner is on notice when the product is as bad as this is. But now even more so because Levis is out of the picture. So with all of that being said, the question that I'm asking you is, what was your reaction to Will Levis being benched? Because that was the first thing that came to my mind. All right, you can't blame. It's like firing Vrabel and Robinson. All right, the boogeymen are gone. I mean, you probably still blame John for a bunch of stuff because I think he, not actively, but passively lit this franchise's future on fire. And I say that on the day that he interviewed for the Jets job, which is just crazy to me. But so my mind goes there first. Okay, let's see what you got, because now everybody's on notice for this miserable Titan season, which a big part of it was because of Will Levis, but now he's on the bench officially, and there is no reason to go back to him other than health. The other part of this is Brian Callahan more specifically. It tells me that Brian Callahan's coaching for his job. It tells me that it's very much on the table that this could be a one-and-done administration. It tells me that Brian Callahan is done with that player specifically, and that they will address the quarterback situation with an actual starting quarterback that Brian Callahan has input in for the first time, beyond just saying that he was excited about the opportunity to work with Will Levis, that they thought that they could turn Will Levis into something that he very much did not turn into. In fact, he got appreciably worse. The lows were so much worse this year than they were in 2024 or 2023, even acknowledging that there was plenty of places that Will Levis could stand to improve. There's no question that this player in this current situation is not salvageable, though his NFL career may go on to be somewhat salvageable. I would expect him to be moved, or at least they are going to actively try to trade him this offseason, and they will bring in, at minimum, a veteran quarterback who is capable of starting meaningful games and making them meaningfully more competitive, a player that they trust. It means that they are for sure bringing a player in to compete, if not for the job, that they're going to have to go out and sign a player, because this rookie class is not, if you want Cam Ward, then you're not watching Cam Ward, because if you think that Will Levis or Cam Ward is incapable of doing the Will Levis stuff, then you've seen not as much Cam Ward as you need to see, even though Cam Ward is a significantly better college quarterback than Will Levis was at his peak at Kentucky. So from everyone on notice to Brian Callahan, potential one-and-done situation, if he can't show that Will Levis was the primary problem for all of their ills, and these are winnable games theoretically. They've already beaten the Texans once. They've lost to the Jags and the Colts, but those teams aren't any kind of special right now either, especially the Jags. The most mind-numbing part of it is that you lost to the Jags, and Mason Rudolph has won games as an NFL quarterback. The third part of this is now, what on earth is your path forward? What are you possibly going to do that if you say, let's say everybody saves their jobs this year except for Will Levis. Let's say the front office is back, the coaching staff is back. What on earth are you going to do to make sure that you don't get fired halfway through the season because you've signed a quarterback that's Zach Wilson, Trey Lance? Maybe you luck into Sam Darnold, but even then, I wouldn't come here if I was Sam Darnold. I would take less money to stay in Minnesota because of how much more they have on the roster than the Titans have, because there are a million different needs, not named quarterback. Quarterback was just the most important. So there's a bunch of different things here that have to be processed, and I have no earthly idea how they're going to go about addressing them. All I know is that if they save their jobs, front office and coaching staff this year, that they are that the heat has just been turned up monumentally on everybody involved, because, okay, we did the thing with Will. We spent the money around Will. You got no results with Will. Now you have to show us that you're capable of getting results with somebody else. And this is a down bad quarterback class. I don't think Shador or Cam Ward would even be as, quarterback 6 in last year's draft class, where those rookies are playing meaningful games and are playing at a reasonably high level for the most part. Caleb Williams has been up and down, but we understand the Bears are a nightmare. I think that this is a franchise that has, I'm not going to say zero direction moving forward, because now at least they've put themselves on a path to make decisions in the offseason, but this is a franchise that is in significant needs of answers, and this offseason, at least at the quarterback position, really, really does not provide them. Now, maybe Amy Adams-Strunk is willing to show a level of patience that we have not seen her show to this point in her tenure as Titans controlling owner. but there is a very real possibility that this football team is genuinely bad again next year, maybe slightly improved, and maybe that's enough. But I don't know if a 2-4 start or a 1-5 start or something like that, because you can't find a viable quarterback solution, a real quarterback solution in the draft or in free agency this year. I don't know that saves them enough, and that would honestly be the worst case scenario. If you kept this current administration, coach and front office, just to fire them halfway through the season the way that she did Wisenhunt, even though she didn't hire Wisenhunt and Rustin Webster. She did hire John Robinson, but promoted Mike Mularkey before hiring John Robinson, and we know how that flamed out. Then she had Robinson, who helped pick Vrabel. Vrabel ends up being the favorite child between the two of them. Then there's fallout there because Vrabel doesn't want the GM that she ended up hiring, and he may well have been right for all we know. We have no idea, but we are going to find a lot. We are going to find out a lot about everybody else that's left, because Will Levis is no longer the person that you can blame for all the things that have gone wrong moving forward. And you damn well better show that you're capable of fixing a good deal of them now that he is officially not in the lineup. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm going to go on and enjoy the rest of my evening. Primetime program always presented by Two Rivers Ford, Gary Ashton Remax, Zen Sports, and TrueMav Fitness. It's going to be a long week, but at least there's something to talk about with this football team. And certainly we'll hear from Brian Callahan and probably Mason Rudolph at the podium tomorrow when this team takes the practice field to get ready for the Indianapolis Colts. We will see you guys then. Radio show tomorrow from 10 to 1. We'll be talking a lot about it. Have a great rest of your evening.
Go home! Go home! Go home!